up, guys? So today I'm going to talk about the thing I struggle with most. And the thing I struggle with most is anxiety and fear. One thing that I have learned about anxiety and fear, all anxiety and fear is a lie. That's literally all it is. All anxiety and fear is a lie that we give into. And I feel like anxiety and fear, it's a lie, but then like when you lie to someone and then you have to come up with another lie, then another lie, and it gets bigger and bigger, and this lie just gets bigger and bigger, and gives you so much anxiety and fear over this lie. That is anxiety and fear. It is a lie that we believe over time that feels like it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually it becomes bigger than you. It feels bigger and greater than you, and absolutely impossible to overcome. And so for example, for me, one of the things that gives me greatest anxiety is school. I have always been terrible at school. I was diagnosed with ADHD, high school, freshman year or 8th grade or something like that. Along with testing anxiety disorder. So in testing anxiety disorder, I'm always looking at the clock. I could study for hours and work super hard, but literally forget everything when I get the test because I freak out. I take longer than everyone else. I'm the one kid that's like, they're still taking the test. I'm on question 2 when everyone else is done. That is me. And it sucks a lot. And that's been a really big struggle for me. So I graduated from high school. I took a gap year, and I am going back to school in the fall. At first, I procrastinated so much on getting registered for classes, because I think subconsciously I had this anxiety or fear that I've had for years. I've had this anxiety and fear for years that has consumed my brain, has become bigger than myself. And I procrastinated so much on registering for classes because I think part of me was too scared to start school again. I was too scared to fail again. I was too scared to come back to that I'm a failure kind of concept. But as school is getting closer, I've been processing through school in and of itself, my fear. And I've been talking to my mentor about it, and she put it really, really beautifully. You want to turn it around. You want to turn that lie around and make it into truth. For years on end, I thought me being bad at school was just realistic. I'm just being realistic with myself. I fail at tests. I'm a failure at school. I'm terrible at school. I'm a terrible student. I thought I was just being realistic with myself. Turns out I was being negative about myself. And I want you to think, if you struggle with this, with anxiety or fear, I want you to think of that one thing that causes you the most anxiety or fear, and you want to turn what you thought, you were just being realistic about yourself. It may be, I'm just really ugly, or I'm just really terrible at my job, which is why I'm not being moved up, or anything like that, or I'm not able to have kids because God is punishing me. Those are all lies. Those things that causes fear and anxiety, those are lies straight from Satan, and he makes them and dwells in them and causes you to think them, and they become this big. Now we're going to work on making them this big. It's okay to have fear over something. But there's such thing as a healthy fear. For me, I have a healthy fear now about going into school. I'm I'm nervous, and that's okay. It's what you do with the nerves. It's what you do with the fear. It's what you do with the anxiety. And I have been able to be in the Word and just realize that I'm not a bad student. I work really hard. I have worked my butt off, and I have still failed, and that's okay. God made me that way, and that's okay. It's a good thing. It is a good thing. It may suck, but it's still a good thing. 2 Corinthians 10:5 says, "We destroy arguments and every lofty opinion raised against the knowledge of God. We take every thought captive and have it obey to Christ." So that thought that I'm terrible at school, I take that thought captive, I make it obedient, and I make it a true statement. Here's a statement. I'm terrible at school. I'm ugly. I'm blah, blah, blah. Whatever your fear is, whatever your things that cause you anxiety. And you turn it into a truth statement. You take it to the Word and you see what God has to say about that. It may not say super straight up, but I certainly do know that God does not think you're ugly. God does not think I'm a terrible student. God knows that you are His and He loves you and He thinks the world of you. We fall short every single day and He still thinks the world of you. Nothing could possibly lessen His love for you. And so when you listen to that lie, you want to turn it around into truth. So instead of saying, I am a terrible student, I say, I struggle with school, and that is okay. You can work with that. You can work with struggling. And when you have, and another thing with that lie that you have in your head, it causes you to be even worse at whatever this is. So for me, because I've had this lie in my head, I feel like it's almost made me worse at school because I get a test and I'm like, oh, I'm going to fail it anyway. Why should I even try? It's not a thing. God does not think that of me, and He certainly doesn't think it of you. 2 Corinthians 13:7, but we pray to God that we may not do wrong, not that we may appear to have met the test, but that you may do it what's right through what we may seem to have failed. We seem to have failed. I've seemed to have failed myself with failing tests and tests. But we pray to God that He may overcome it, because that lie gets greater and that fear gets greater, that anxiety gets greater. But then God can make it this big, to make it a healthy fear. And yeah, so that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Go follow me on Instagram. It's KARNICOLEOXOX. So Kara Nicole Ox. Email me if you have any questions or anything that you would love for me to know. Like and subscribe and tell your friends, and walk in the light.